Hi everybody and welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
So today we are looking at this month's Newswatch unit. We have a couple of topics here. They're kind of both about the environment, although dealing with two kind of very different subjects. So,
right.
What do we do to help the environment in our own way?
Well, I mean, as individual people, I think we do a lot of different things.
I meant you personally.
Oh, me personally.
And me and you personally, yes.
Well,
what do we do?
I use a reusable coffee cup and like a reusable food bag so that I don't, create extra waste when I'm getting food out. And try to, I'm very careful about my recycling, that sort of thing. What about you?
Pretty much the same. I have my reusable coffee cup right next to me. I do have a straw at home, although I don't often drink stuff through a straw for some reason. I usually just don't bother.
Okay.
I've got, my own chopsticks in my desk upstairs.
Yeah, same.
Our building does recycling. We have that as kind of part of the service. So as long as we do a reasonable amount of sorting, then the rest of it kind of gets taken care of. So sort of plastics here, cardboard here, other things that you're pretty sure are recyclable here.
Yeah, like cans and other
bottles, that sort of stuff that you maybe use a bit less of than just sort of recyclable plastic or cardboard.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Taking public transit.
Yeah, I don't own a scooter, but that's just because I can't ride one and I feel it would be dangerous. So
I can ride one, but I agree with the dangerous part.
Yeah, the environmental thing was less of a consideration when it came to that. I didn't have a car in the UK either.
I did have one in the US.
You kind of need one in the US, I feel.
Yeah, it's necessary.
The bigger spaces and stuff.
Yeah.
But there you go. Okay, so that's us. What is going on with the environment in our news articles?
Oh, lots of things.
Lots of things. Well, let's find out by reading through our two stories. Student creates new method for clearing up microplastics. A student from Ireland has invented something that can remove microplastics from water. Finn Ferreira created a version of a metal-filled liquid that sticks to these plastics. The mixture can then be extracted from the water with a magnet. He demonstrated this with a series of experiments and took home the $50,000 grand prize at Google's Science Fair this July. Microplastics, which are pieces of plastic less than 5 millimeters long, are hard to remove from the environment and cause major problems for both marine life and humans. Ferreira, a budding scientist, realized the plastics might be attracted to oil. His liquid is made from natural vegetable oil and magnetic particles. Ferreira predicted it would remove 85% of plastics from a sample of water. It actually took out 88%. Significantly, it can be used by wastewater treatment plants, few of which are equipped to deal with microplastics. Ferreira is proud of his invention, but admits his project isn't the ideal solution. The solution is that we stop using plastic altogether, he said.
New jeans for a better world. The jeans we wear could soon be undergoing a huge change. The Jeans Redesign Guidelines, a campaign organized by a British charity called the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, aims to make them more environmentally friendly. Denim jeans were first designed by Levi Strauss as a tough, durable pair of pants for people working hard manual jobs. However, making and dyeing them uses a lot of water and chemicals. By the time a pair of jeans reaches the end of its lifetime, an estimated 919 gallons of water has been used for it, which places a huge burden on the environment. Under the Jeans Redesign Guidelines, companies will use more sustainable methods to make jeans, such as using less water and fewer chemicals in the production process. So far, companies like Gap, H&M, and Lee Jeans have agreed to follow them. Other companies have not, including Levi's, but they are improving their production methods. As companies aren't obligated to follow the guidelines, their effect may be limited, but they're still a step in the right direction.
Okay, so we're starting with our first story here about a student who created a new method for clearing up microplastics, which is really great. Microplastics, I guess, have maybe the last sort of 5-10 years have been hitting the news a bit more as like a problem.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of cosmetics and things like that had little micro beads
oh
in
my
that
goodness, yeah.
people were worried that they were getting into the environment, never mind people being worried.
And now they're banned in most places, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of things that used to contain them now don't, or have come up with kind of sustainable versions thereof.
Yeah.
Okay, so what actually happened? So we start with a student from Ireland has invented something that can remove microplastics from water. It's kind of the one-line summary, and that's great news.
Yeah, absolutely. So Finn Ferreira created a version of a metal-filled liquid that sticks to these plastics. That means, the microplastics that are in the water. And I think they're usually not only produced by those little tiny ones that they used to use, but also it kind of flakes off the bigger plastics that we use in our daily lives.
That's right. If you kind of, as plastics break down, I mean, it takes a long time, but it does happen. But smaller bits fall off, and these are even more difficult to kind of get rid of, often because you can't even really see them.
Yeah,
we'll mention that later.
Yeah.
One note on pronunciation out there, you'll see this chap's name written as F-I-O-N-N. It's an Irish name. It's pronounced Finn.
Yeah, lots of Irish names have vowels that are actually not pronounced the way you would expect.
Yeah, they can be a little tricky, but this one I checked, it is Finn.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see that what happens, he's got this liquid and there's metal in the liquid. And then the mixture, so the liquid and the plastics together, when they've stuck together, can then be extracted from the water with a magnet. To extract means to remove something from something else. And when we use this word, we're implying that it takes either a little bit of effort, maybe sometimes a little bit of force, something like that. So if you need to extract oil from the ground, for example, you don't just kind of turn on a tap and out it comes. You need to kind of break things, pull things up, generally force it out of there. So here we mean it's not force, but it takes an effort and a magnet to kind of go, all right, now there's plastic in the water. Okay, the plastic's sticking to this liquid. Now I can suck the liquid out because of the metal and the magnets. And it takes the plastic with it.
Yeah. So I guess, it's a very efficient way of getting the plastic out.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to mention it in this kind of fairly short article. He based his idea on something that NASA had created decades ago. Something that they used to remove kind of pollution from the air in ships and a few other things. People use this same kind of magnetic liquid for cleaning dust inside speakers and things like that.
And I think they were also using it to clean like rocket fuel or to
that's it,
add to rocket fuel.
Yeah, it's kind of used for a number of things, and he just came up with his own version of it and used it for a new purpose.
Yeah. So how did he figure this out? Well, he demonstrated this with a series of experiments. He actually did over 1,000 experiments.
As you should as a scientist. That's proper method. I approve.
Yes, good job. And took home the $50,000 grand prize at Google's Science Fair this July.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It's nice to see that he's kind of being recognized and rewarded for his efforts.
Yeah, and the science fair is targeted toward teenagers who are budding scientists, just like him.
I think he's maybe 18 or 19 or something like that.
Yeah, he's just out of high school, I think.
Yeah, and he actually came up with this idea. I read he was on a canoe or a kayak out in the sea off the coast of Ireland, swimming around, saw all the plastic in the water, and then just kind of had a brainwave. Really. Just had a moment where you're like, oh, hey, what if we did this?
That's cool. I remember having to do experiments in elementary school to see how you can take oil out of water.
Right. It's a kind of similar sort of idea. There's this like attracts like kind of idea that we'll get into. So first, let's take a look at microplastics. What are they and what's the problem?
Okay.
Well, microplastics, which are pieces of plastic less than 5 millimeters long, so they're very small, are hard to remove from the environment, mostly because of their small size, and they cause major problems for both marine life and humans. Now, marine is just an adjective that means anything that lives in the sea, basically.
Yes.
So marine life just means everything from whales to tiny little sea creatures that we can't even see because they're so small.
Right, yeah, or even plants that live in the sea as
Exactly,
well.
plants are included. So, yeah, fish and other creatures can eat these plastics. They sort of think they're food, or they're not even sure, or they just swallow them because their mouths are open.
Or they don't see them,
Yeah, and then they get into the fish, and that can cause health problems, stomach, lung, or, well, not really lung, but internal problems for animals.
Breathing problems.
And because the plastics don't break down, they stay in the fish, they cause problems for us because we then eat the fish or whatever that have all these microplastics in them, and then we get the health problems.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So, how did he figure this out? Well, Ferreira, a budding scientist, realized the plastics might be attracted to oil. Now, I kind of already said this, but a budding scientist or a budding anything is kind of talking about somebody who's up and coming or they're just getting started on their career. It comes from the word for bud, which is like a young plant.
Yeah.
A young flower.
A little growing flower. So he's not a full scientist with degrees and a university job or anything like that. But he knows a lot about science. He's excited by it, and he's developing into one. So he figured plastics might be attracted to oil. Maybe they have some of the same chemicals in the way that they're organized, kind of thing. So let's see what happens. He makes this liquid. His liquid is made from natural vegetable oil and magnetic particles. The word magnetic, it can mean it acts like a magnet, and it can also mean it is attracted to a magnet.
Yes.
So a lot of metals are magnetic. They will stick to a magnet if you hold one around. Magnets are those kind of black things that stick to other metal things, like on a fridge and stuff like that. If you stick stuff to your fridge or maybe to your metal door of your apartment, then both of them are magnetic. One's actually a magnet and the other is kind of attracted to it.
Right, yeah. So if you have any two pieces of metal that either pull towards each other or try to not touch, like if you try and touch them and they just won't touch, that's magnetic. Yeah. So in this case, I think he used iron, like really, really small pieces of iron. And these are called particles, iron particles. And that just means that they're really, really tiny bits. They're almost like a powder probably in this case. Yeah.
Exactly, yes. Tiny, tiny, small bit, basically. About as small as you can get, really. So Ferreira had taken this liquid and he predicted it would remove 85% of plastics from a sample of water. So if there's 100 pieces of plastic, he goes, okay, I think this will remove 85 of them.
Okay.
And so he predicted it. To predict something is to make a guess, but it's kind of more of a scientific guess based on either what you know or things you have observed. You're using the available facts and data you have to make your guess, and then you test it.
Yeah, so it's a educated guess.
That's
you
right.
Could say. So he made a pretty bold prediction, I would say, thinking 85%. That's quite a high number.
It wasn't bold enough.
It wasn't bold enough, actually. Yeah, it actually took out 88%. So it performed better than he expected.
And one of the most important things about this, we find out significantly, it, the liquid, can be used by wastewater treatment plants, few of which are equipped to deal with microplastics. So a wastewater treatment plant is where they kind of treat the water that comes out of our houses or factories.
Yeah.
You know, think bathroom and kitchen water and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And they treat it to make it safe to use again. But if there's microplastics in this wastewater, not many treatment plants can deal with it. We say few of which, meaning out of maybe 100 wastewater treatment plants, only some, maybe 10 or so, are equipped to remove microplastics from water. They can deal with them. If you're equipped to do something, you have all the things you need, basically. Mostly physical things, actual equipment, machines, techniques, and all of that stuff. Or you just have the skills, tools, knowledge you need to accomplish a particular job.
yeah, that's a really big deal because if few wastewater treatment plants are equipped to deal with microplastics, this invention could make it easier for them to do so. So Ferreira is proud of his invention, but admits his project isn't the ideal solution. Now, what is an ideal solution? Well, ideal, when something is ideal, it means that it's kind of like the perfect the best possible thing where like it actually takes care of the entire problem, all the problems that you're having, it's ideal. Or if you're, for example, going to an ideal spot on vacation, it's a spot that will take care of every want that you have. Anything you could want, it's there.
Yep, it's the perfect place. However, using his liquid isn't the best solution. Of course, it only removes 88%, so there's still a little bit left.
Yes.
So he says the solution is that we stop using plastic altogether, he said. So just like no more plastics, no more problem.
Of course.
Could be a while before we get there, but we're getting better slowly and probably a bit too late, but we're moving towards it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the end of the first story we have in our News Watch. We'll take a short break and then come back with the second one.
Hi everybody, we're back from our break now and we're on to the second part of our News Watch article where we're talking about not so much science but something about fashion. So we're talking about new jeans for a better world. Did you know that jeans could be environmentally damaging?
I remember reading somewhere that they did take a lot of water to sort of go through all the dyeing and the making and the sort of getting the cotton strong enough kind of thing.
And I think they use indigo in the dyeing process, which can be kind of environmentally destructive, if I remember right.
But so I didn't realize quite how much, not until I wrote this article. So how do we start then?
All right. Well, the jeans we wear could soon be undergoing a huge change. So that's an interesting sentence. We have this word undergo, which is an interesting verb because you just basically add the word under onto go. And then if you want to change the verb, you change it as you would change go. So underwent, undergone, undergoing. So if you say something is undergoing a process usually, it means it's being subjected to it or it's being made to go through this thing. Usually it's like a negative meaning, but in this case, I don't think so.
Yeah, it can often, I always think of it as like a developing sort of thing. It could be said to be tough for jeans to go through this change.
It could be, yeah.
It's a big change for them kind of thing.
When I hear the word undergo, I often think of undergoing surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what is this change? Well, the article says the Jeans Redesign Guidelines is this change, and it's a campaign organised by a British charity called the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And these guidelines, this project aims to make them more environmentally friendly. So a foundation is an organisation that's created usually for the purpose of helping others, either by doing good work or by doing research or by providing help and assistance and so on. And the thing with a foundation is it's set up when somebody donates money to set it up. So they kind of give it and say, do this, create this, either in my name or in sort of remembrance of me for this purpose, and I will provide the money for it.
Right. And I think it's often set up by people who are close to the person that it's named after or set up for.
Yeah. Or, I mean, it may be them themselves, but it's often set up for them, maybe because they don't want to kind of say, oh, this is my thing and this is what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm happy to kind of lend my support.
Yes. Yeah. So they're aiming to make jeans more environmentally friendly. So what about jeans is non-environmentally friendly? Well, first we have to learn a little bit about their history. So denim jeans were first designed by Levi Strauss as a tough, durable pair of pants for people working hard manual jobs. It's a lot of information in that one sentence. So starting with denim. Denim is basically the material that most, if not all, jeans are made out of. It's made of cotton. It's woven in such a way together that it's really, really durable and tough and will not tear or break or wear down easily. It should last for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, those words we use in the sentence, tough and durable, pretty much explains what denim is. If something is tough, it can take a lot of damage, punishment, general wear and tear. It won't break or get destroyed easily.
Yes.
So we can call a person tough. You might call like a boxer tough if he can take a punch or two and keep going. We can talk about items of furniture being tough if they can, they can fall over and they'll be fine. Our clothes can be pretty tough if they will stand some bad weather and wear and stretching and so on.
Yeah,
and durable means they just last for a long time. They've got a long lifetime. And jeans do last a pretty long time.
Yeah, some jeans. I mean, I think some jeans that are made more cheaply will last less time, but the original jean designs were meant to last for years and through some very tough jobs, some manual jobs. Now, manual relates to the word for hand from Latin. It means it's a job that you do with your hands and with your body. So I think in this particular case, Levi Strauss jeans were designed for miners.
Yes,
for
I think that's right.
Gold miners,
that kind of thing.
Back in the late 19th century.
Something like that, yeah.
So you were down in the ground, you're in the dirt, you're on your knees a lot. You want your pants to last.
Yeah, you could be wiping them with oil. They could be getting dusty. They could be getting torn on bits of metal, that kind of sharp rocks. So, and they need to kind of protect your legs at the same time. So if you brush against a sharp rock, you don't want it going straight through your leg and cutting you. Oof. The jeans kind of protect you from that by being tough.
Yes.
So that's great for jeans, and they've kind of turned from these sort of tough working clothes into very fashionable, very convenient items.
Very comfortable.
I don't wear them in Taiwan. I always
really?
Almost all the year, I find it too hot to wear them. Just for a couple of months in winter, I have like one pair of jeans for that.
I wear them almost daily.
No, I find them too hot in most of the weather. But anyway, so that's what jeans are. However, making and dyeing them uses a lot of water and chemicals. To dye something means to change the color of something using either natural or just artificial chemicals. I should turn this over to Kat because she has dyed hair. Dyeing hair involves bleach and various other coloring agents.
Yep.
Almost all the clothes we wear are dyed through. There are natural things. You can make dyes of plants, vegetables, insects, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But some of them will be done with just chemicals that are produced in a lab.
Right, especially for colors that are hard to find in nature, like I think purple and blue. Usually
they're rare. Purple. You can get purple dyes, but they're super rare and expensive.
Yeah, it used to be a color of royalty. That's how rare it was.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, so that knowing that most jeans are blue, this particularly rich shade of blue, the dyes used to make them are probably very full of chemicals.
Yes.
And what's worse, they use a lot of water. So by the time a pair of jeans reaches the end of its lifetime, an estimated 919 gallons of water has been used for it, which places a huge burden on the environment.
That number is just huge. I can't even that's a swimming pool or more.
Yeah, it's an entire swimming pool for one pair of jeans.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's to create them and to wash them.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, if you own a pair of jeans for 10 years, sure, you're going to wash them quite a lot. But actually creating them to kind of get the cotton in the right state and get the jeans dyed and the dye so it doesn't run the first time you buy them and wear them, that takes a lot of water.
I think one thing people can kind of do is wash their jeans less often, which sounds gross, but if you kind of let them air out, then usually, the air and the sun will clean them off anyway.
Yeah, they're the kind of clothes that don't need to be washed all the time.
Right.
Okay, but whatever way they do it, they place a huge burden on the environment.
Yeah, so they place a burden is kind of like something heavy. Literally, if you're carrying a burden, it means you're carrying something that is really, really difficult for you to carry. And it places a lot of pressure on you. It kind of saps your strength away. And in the figurative sense, when we're saying something is a burden on the environment, it means that puts a lot of stress on the environment by using all this water that could be used for other things and other purposes.
Yep, and then of course there's the wastewater like we talked about in the first part, the first news story. You use that water, and then where does that water go? Some of it has got chemicals in, some of it's dirty.
Yeah.
It's got to be cleaned, and that takes even more energy and effort.
Takes resources.
Yes, so this is why the whole process of making jeans, they want to change them, this foundation and the guidelines. Now, under the jeans redesign guidelines, companies will use more sustainable methods to make jeans, such as using less water and fewer chemicals in the production process.
That's a good idea.
Yep, if something is sustainable, it means you can kind of keep using it. It doesn't get used up when you finish with it. You can use it again, and it also means it's better for the environment in general. We talk about sustainable energy like wind power, solar power, power from hot water below the Earth's surface, and that kind of gets renewed by nature, so it is sustainable. We can keep using it.
It could be sustained as a verb. So who is following these jean redesign guidelines? So far, companies like Gap, H&M, and Lee Jeans, at least two of these we have in Taiwan, have agreed to follow them. So that's good news. That means that there will soon be more options for jeans that are made in less destructive and more sustainable ways.
Yeah, exactly. Levi's, it says other companies have not, so they're not following the guidelines, including Levi's. The inventors of jeans have said no, but they are improving their production methods. I think they recognize that that jeans are not sustainable, they're unsustainable, and so they are trying to improve to use less water, use fewer chemicals. Why they're not following the jeans guidelines? Maybe they feel that they're doing it their way and that will work out as well or better in the long run. Maybe they feel like they need to do it at their own pace to kind of balance the quality of their product with what they're making. I'm not quite sure. But as long as they're improving their production methods, that's kind of a step in the right direction.
Right. Just hope that they, do it enough and not just, applaud themselves for doing a little bit.
Doing a little, yes.
Doing a little. Yeah. Okay. So, as companies aren't obligated to follow the guidelines, their effect may be limited, as we can see. But they're still a step in the right direction. So, being obligated to do something means that it's mandatory, it's necessary, and you must do it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's
like if it were
probably
a law.
An actual rule. These guidelines are not real rules. They're not supported by a government.
Yeah, and that's why they're called guidelines, because they're meant to guide you, but you're not obligated. It's not absolutely mandatory, 100% you must do it.
That's right. There's a difference between the two verbs oblige and obligate. Obligate basically means it involves some kind of law, whereas oblige means you feel it's more of a duty, something you should do, rather than something where you're actually having to do it or face legal punishment. So we say that they're not following these rules, they don't have to, but these rules, the guidelines, are a step in the right direction. That means they're a move towards making jeans more sustainable. It's kind of getting them more environmentally friendly, so it's a good thing, even if it's only one step on a longer road.
Right. So I guess that is all the news we have about these two environmental things. We've talked about a young scientist doing something great. We've talked about a group that is doing something with making jeans more sustainable. I think that, even though they sound like two very different things, they're both going toward the same goal.
Exactly. Okay, and that is all the time we have. Thank you for listening today for English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
And we'll talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you then.